From some of the largest mines ever dug out of the ground to vast tunnel systems built by the Swiss, here are the biggest holes in tunnels ever made. But first, we'd like to give a quick shout out to Canadian Chrissy for leaving us this comment. Be sure to leave us some suggestions for future videos in the comments section on what you'd like to see. Hey guys, this is American Eye, bringing you another great video. Number 15, the CHUNNEL. About 8,000 years ago, people were actually able to walk across the English Channel. But for a long period of time, the only way to get across was to take a boat. Also known as le tunnel sous la Manche in French, the tunnel goes under the English Channel and is colloquially known as the CHUNNEL. It starts near Calais and pops up again near the cliffs of Dover, close to the town of Folkestone. The first tunneling operation for this big hole took place in 1988, although the idea of the big tunnel was proposed by Albert Mathieu in 1802. The tunnel formally opened in 1994 after 6 years of construction. They used 11 boring machines to make it possible, and the whole project cost roughly £4.65 billion, which would have equated about £13 billion in today's money. Number 14, Lake BERRYESSA, California. This large mysterious hole could be a portal to another dimension, but it's not. Sorry to disappoint. It's actually what's known as a glory hole, and they're quite rare, but rather interesting. This lake is found in Napa County, California, where some of the best wine in the US is made. The diameter of the hole reaches about 72 feet, and it drops an insane 280 feet. This was constructed in order to keep the artificial lake from overflowing, keeping it from flooding nearby streets. It helps control how deep the rest of the lake gets, and it only really gets put to use when there's too much water. Here in this photo, you can see what the structure actually looks like when it's not submerged by water. Number 13, the Diavik Diamond Mine. In case you thought Africa had all the massive diamond mines, think again. The Diavik Diamond Mine, found in the Northwest Territories of Canada, is one of the largest producers of diamonds in the Northern Hemisphere, and this place is pretty crazy. They annually produce about 7 million carats of diamonds each year, and you better believe it's not easy to get there. The Diavik Mine is found north of the Arctic Circle, and it's definitely cold. This photo here shows you the subarctic landscapes that surround the diamond mine. You thought getting to work in the morning was tough for you, huh? Imagine trying to get to work here. In 2015, this diamond mine produced what was known as the Diavik Foxfire 187.7, which was one of the largest rough gem quality diamonds ever produced. Number 12, the Blue Hole, Belize. This large marine cavern seems to come out of nowhere off the shore of Belize near Ambergris Cay. It was created from a sinkhole during the Ice Age and then was filled up as the ocean levels began to rise. While blue holes can be found in various locations around the world, this is considered to be the Great Blue Hole and measures roughly 984 feet across. How deep do you think it is? It manages to sink a shocking 407 feet deep, so reaching the bottom is going to be a little bit tricky. It became somewhat of a known tourist attraction since the famous scuba diver Jacques Cousteau declared it as one of his favorite scuba diving locations. However, not everyone's got the scuba skills like Jacques. This one is also quite dangerous due to large amounts of sharks like bull sharks and hammerheads. The nearly perfect circular shape would lead you to believe it's some kind of portal to another dimension. Number 11, Dean's Blue Hole. Another aquatic blue hole makes our list, and this time it's found in the Caribbean Sea near the Bahamas. It's basically a giant sinkhole with its entrance going below water. Good luck trying to swim to the bottom of this one, which measures an astonishing 663 feet deep. It was likely formed sometime during the Ice Age about 15,000 years ago, when rainwater caused some fractures in limestone bedrock to collapse when the sea level was lower. It's currently home to a freediving competition known as Vertical Blue and is hosted by William Trubridge. He was able to make it down 100 meters with no air tank or fins. Number 10, Asbestos Mine, Canada. Also known as the Jeffrey Mine, this one is located in Asbestos, Quebec, and it was in operation until 2012. It's a whopping 2 kilometers wide and 370 meters deep. Check out this thing on Google Maps and you can tell how completely massive it is. It's by far one of the largest asbestos mines in the world. For a long period of time, people who would use this mineral would put it into their walls to keep their homes from catching on fire. But recently, there's been a link with asbestos and a disease called mesothelioma, which is a lung condition. This is a toxic substance that people should avoid, so obviously this large mine went out of business. The lake at the bottom might look like an inviting blue, but you can bet your bottom dollar it's highly toxic. The small town that grew from this thriving asbestos industry feels like they've kind of lost their identity once the mine was forced to close, but people still do live here. Number 9, the Berkeley Pit. This giant hole in the ground in Butte, Montana used to be a thriving copper mine, but now it's filled with extremely toxic chemicals. It's about a half-mile wide in diameter and approximately 1,780 feet deep. About 900 feet is filled with highly acidic water that has a similar pH level as lemon juice. Industrial chemicals such as copper, arsenic, cadmium, zinc, and sulfuric acid are all found at the bottom of this toxic lake. The water of this lake is slowly beginning to rise as well, and there almost seems to be no solution to fix it. Some residents in the nearby town are beginning to worry that one day the lake will overflow and spew toxic chemicals into the street. This unique waste pit has become somewhat of a tourist attraction, and people actually pay a small fee to go see it. The lake is surrounded in barbed wire for the safety of the public though. Number 8. The DARVAZA gas crater. How would you like to visit a giant hole in the ground that's constantly on fire? Doesn't sound too appealing, does it? Some tourists, though, have felt the need to come here due to its peculiar nature. Also known as the Gates of Hell, or the Door to Hell, it was used by the Soviets to gather natural gas. However, not everything went as planned. When they were drilling, the whole site collapsed, leaving a giant hole in the ground. In order to prevent the natural gas from poisoning the nearby town, the Soviets basically lit it on fire, and it hasn't stopped burning since the 1980s. They believed that the gas would stop burning in a matter of a few weeks, but that wasn't the case. An extreme explorer by the name of George Karoo came here to gather extremophiles that are actually living in this gas pit. Number 7. Meteor Crater, Arizona. Imagine the apocalyptic event that took place when a massive meteorite strikes the Earth in Arizona. This strange place here in the US has many visitors and is a clear reminder that Earth is vulnerable to massive impacts from outer space. It's roughly 560 feet deep with a diameter of 390 feet. That's more than half a mile wide. It's clearly visible from outer space, and it rivals craters that were created with nuclear bombs. Astronauts who were preparing for moon landing were sent here in order to understand the lunar surface in detail. An old mine shaft that we see here was used to gather fragments of the meteor, which are on display at the museum. Number 6. The biggest tunnel in the world. The biggest railway tunnel in the world goes right underneath the Alps. The Gotthard Base Tunnel stretches a total of 94.3 miles underground. This project cost roughly $12.5 billion and took 17 years to construct. It also took the lives of 9 people, and it's also the deepest tunnel in the world too. The track starts at the German-speaking town in Erstfeld and ends in the southern Italian-speaking Swiss town of Bodio. Switzerland just recently finished constructing this modern marvel in 2016 and celebrated in a somewhat bizarre fashion. Number 5. Big Hole. Yeah, so the person who came up with the name of this place wasn't very creative. Also known as the Kimberley Mine, this is a massive 1,500-foot wide underground mine in South Africa that was created by hand, despite some disputes on the claim. It was found in the town of Kimberly, which is found in the Karoo desert. South Africa is known for their high-quality diamonds, and a large majority of them were found here at this big hole. An estimated 6,000 pounds of diamonds were uncovered here, and the hole was dug up using shovels and pickaxes with work from the natives. Eventually, the mine was closed in 1914 due to the sheer number of lives lost and a lack of production. It goes down about 790 feet from the surface of the earth, but when workers were gone, it basically turned into a big lake. The lake itself is about 150 feet deep, but who knows if it might eventually spill over. Number 4. The GRASBERG Mine. Located in the highest mountain in Papua New Guinea, is not only the world's largest gold mine, but the 3rd largest copper mine in the world. It's also a pretty decent producer of silver as well. It has a total workforce of 19,500 workers. Does GRASBERG sound like an Indonesian name to you? No? That's because it's run by a corporation that's not Indonesian. There's been a lot of environmental concern over this mine, considering the fact that it's on top of a mountain and rainfall can lead to contamination of areas below the mine. Some people feel as though the mine is not nearly as profitable to the people of Papua New Guinea as it should be, and all it really does is pollute their land. This produced 862,000 ounces of gold in 2012, meaning well over $1 billion. Only a minuscule fraction of that is actually given to the workers. Number 3. The Udachnaya Pipe. This massive diamond mine is found in the middle of Russia in the cold region of Siberia and was actually operational until 2010. The first diamonds were found here around 1955, and they were able to make it 600 meters deep. That's about 1,968 feet. This makes it the 3rd largest open pit mine in the world. Operations here halted in 2019 in favor of constructing more tunnel mines in the surrounding areas to find more diamonds. It's believed that there's an estimated 225.8 million carats of diamonds still here. The nearby city of Udachnaya was built nearby the mine. Interesting fact, there was actually a nuclear bomb detonation under the city in 1974, likely to help loosen up some diamonds. They had planned to do more detonations, but due to radioactive fallout, they decided it would be a good idea not to do it again. Number 2. Rani Ki Vav. Located in India, the Rani Ki Vav was constructed as a memorial to an 11th century king as a highly decorated stepwell, but it's believed that this was actually dug up as a water pit around the 3rd century BC. It mainly makes this list because it's a fairly deep hole made by ancient standards, and they didn't have dynamite or nuclear weapons back then. It was recently added as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and holds over 500 main sculptures. Many of the sculptures are dedicated to the god named Vishnu in extremely detailed fashion. And number 1, the Aitken Basin. Located on the far side of the moon is a massive crater so large, its diameter is about the same distance from London to Athens. Roughly 1,600 miles wide, this impact crater is the largest known crater in the solar system and is also the deepest basin on the moon. The Chinese went to explore this area, and just recently in 2019, it was declared that a large mass of mysterious moon material was found deep within the crater. The deepest point on this crater is about 6 kilometers, which is about 3.7 miles. It can be visible from Earth and pretty much takes up the entire southern area of the moon. Hey guys, if you haven't noticed already, we're almost at 1 million subscribers, so remember to smash that subscribe button.